My friends, welcome to the episode, Outdated Mixing Techniques That Boomers Still Use. I wonder how many people are gonna get mad just from reading the title of this one, guys. And I'm gonna level with you. The original title for this was gonna be the worst mixing advice that I've ever heard. And actually, that title is kind of good. I'm not sure which one it's gonna be. It's gonna be one of those two. I guess you're gonna see once this video is up. The old school has totally drilled some rules into our head, but the reality is there just aren't any rules when it comes to mixing. Any rule that's been made has been broken by somebody else and been made to sound amazing. But there are some of those rules that stunted my growth early on and kind of held me back as an engineer. So by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly what those tips were that kind of ruined things for me. I'm just gonna jump right into the first one. Don't use all-in-one plugins. Now, this is one of those that really had me going back in the day because it was usually talking about the CLA Waves plugins. You remember like the vocals and the guitar one? And the consensus was that when you're dealing with audio plugins, the all-in-one versions didn't specialize in anything. Think of it kind of like if you go to Chipotle and you can grab everything that you want and make it however you want versus going to like a fine Mexican restaurant and just getting the chef's special. That's what they try to equate it to anyways. But I have a couple arguments against this mindset anyways. First off, when you're using a stack of different plugins on the same track and they're from different companies, like most likely you're altering the audio anyways, kind of in the same way that you would in a hardware way. But let's skip over the technical jargon about using all-in-one plugins and let's just listen to an example of one.
You drown me in silence, yeah, I promised you the world, but you turned your back. This heartache is violent, but every time you come around, I let you right back. Let you right back, let you right back. Every time you come around, I let you right back. You never wanted that, I know it's all an act. Every time you come around, I let you right back.
Yeah, there you go. I rest my case. I'm not even gonna waste any more time on this because as we just saw, we just took it from nothing to making it slap in a second. And if you love the way that sounded, make sure to click the link in the description below so you can get your copy of Howard Benson vocals for a 14-day free trial. Hopefully you didn't let that example go over your head because this next topic does just that. Headphone mixing. You get it? Because headphones go over your head, you know, transition game's still crazy and all that. All right, let's get on with it. This is another one that really rubs me the wrong way. Because the reason people think you shouldn't mix with headphones is because headphones sometimes hype a specific frequency band, give you ear fatigue faster, etc. But guess what? So do cheap studio monitors. You're not gonna sit here and tell me that the Rokit KRKs are an accurate response curve to mix off of, but I see pros making bangers with them every single day. And I've mixed with focal headphones for years, and I've never worried about my sub response until I noticed that you didn't click that sub button. So please respond by hitting the sub button, like button, and notification bell because my transition game did indeed just level up. Back to the topic. I rarely ever get true ear fatigue, and the thing about headphones that is a bonus for mixing is that they always sound the same regardless of the room that you're working in. You know what I mean? You can take them wherever you want. This is one of the major drawbacks of using monitors because if someone doesn't have that exact same pair of monitors in a very similar style room, it's not gonna sound the same at all. You know what I mean? You're not gonna be getting the real representation. So what are the real negatives of mixing with headphones? Exactly, there aren't any. Take a listen to this mix that was done exclusively with headphones.
I'm so sick of being blind. I lived a life for way too long. I went through hell to find where I belong. I lived a life just to realize that in your eyes I'm nothing all along. I went through hell to find where I be.
If you want to use open back or closed back headphones, either one of those is perfectly fine and up to you, but I just promise you can get all the results that you want without having to use actual monitors. And hopefully those mystery hyped frequency bands don't jump too many dB because then they're going to be breaking the next rule. EQing more than 3 dB. And I'll actually couple this with one, don't boost, only cut with EQing. Did you guys notice that I brought those segues back between topics? Like, you missed that? If you want, I'll start doing that again. But back to the point. This became more popular with the rise of digital EQ, and the thought was that digital EQs aren't musical. So you don't want to alter the signal too much in the box. But what's hilarious about this to me is the thought that The process of cutting with an EQ is okay, but boosting with one isn't, as if whatever adverse effect digital EQ has only works one way and not the other, right? Like it would only affect it if you subtract, not if you add. I don't know. That one was always odd to me. But everyone from CLA to Joey have boosted and cut way more than 3 dB, and it's never been an issue in their mixes. So could you imagine only dipping 4K when it feels like it needs to be eradicated from existence? Or only boosting 8K by 3 dB when a source really needs that bite? If it sounds good, it is good. So let's take a listen to something that needs a little bit more EQing than one would originally imagine.
Holding back, stuck under the pressure like a heart attack. Even when I try, even when I lie, I'm still wrapped in chains, pulling side to side. I'm so sick of being blind. I lived a life for way too long. I went through hell to find where I belong.
And just that quick, it shows how pointless that rule is. It doesn't matter, and yet it was shoved down people's throats for 20 years, and people actually listened to that. They really thought that with this mindset that you would become a master. Or maybe not. Number 4, putting nothing on your master bus and leaving it to the mastering engineer. What was that saying? People said, record like there's no mixing, mix like there's no mastering, and yada yada. I get where they came up with this, but the reality is mixing into a chain can be really helpful, especially if you already understand gain staging. If you don't, then yeah, your mix might fall apart if you're mixing into a compressor and limiter, but if the plan was to send it to a mastering engineer already like that, you should be fine. Here's an example of leaving those sweeteners on the master bus versus not.
Something's getting in the way, holding back, stuck under the pressure like a heart attack. Even when I try, even when I lie, I'm still wrapped in chains, pulling side to side. I'm so sick of being blind. I lived a life for way too long. I went through hell to find where I belong. I lived a life just to realize.
And I don't know why I keep saying when you send it to a mastering engineer, the year is 2023 and we're mixers. So here's the big secret, we don't say it to ourselves, but we are mastering engineers. And that brings me to my 5th point. They used to say, don't master a song that you're mixing. But like I said, we kind of are mastering engineers, like at least a little bit. Just enough that we can make something presentable enough to show it to a client. And even if we're sending it out, there's nothing wrong with a little compression and EQ to get it sounding how you want before the mastering engineer touches it. It's still your vision after all. And whatever it takes to get there is just that. But as you start to add more and more to your master bus, you start to realize that eventually you're gonna have a finished product that you're happy with. And a lot of this has to do with budgets at times. If it wasn't for that, we'd all be sending things off to mastering engineers, but people don't have the patience or the money for it. Not when there's an AI service that's gonna master your song online for $5. Now, if I was gonna give one last piece of advice to stay away from when you're just starting out, the concept of high passing everything under 20 hertz, especially in heavy music and in bass heavy music. This one just doesn't work for me. You lose a lot of what you felt in the low end when those frequencies aren't there, because it's more about a feeling when it's under 20 hertz. You can't hear it, but something about it just feels weightier when all that meat is down there in the subs. That actually would have been a good time to do a transition. Missed opportunity, people. I just really think you can mess up the weight of a mix by doing this, but that's just my opinion after all. Especially when you're working with drop tune guitars that have a lot of information down there, or electronic music, that relies really heavily on that sub content, especially for music that's being played in bars and clubs. So let's go over all these topics one more time, my friends. All-in-one plugins. Headphones aren't for mixing. EQing more than 3 dB. Leaving your master bus empty. Don't master your own mixes. And high passing everything below 20 hertz. And it hurts me to think some people are still following some of these boomer tips. There's a time and a place for everything. When it comes to these rules, I got no time up in my place for them. Have any of these tips ever held you back? Are there a couple things that you wish that I would have added to the list? Leave it in the comments below and I will chat with you fine people, like I always do. If you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. You only have to do it one time. And tap that bell for notifications so when a video drops, you know the location. Until next time, my friends. Later.